The council chamber was quiet, filled only with the sound of strange machines working in the background. A group of alien scientists stood around a glowing table, watching the body of the first human they had ever studied. At first sight, the human looked weak. The skin was soft, the frame was thin, and the body seemed breakable compared to the thick shells of insectoid species or the scaled armor of reptilian races. To the council, it looked like a fragile creature that could not survive the dangers of the galaxy. Some even laughed silently, thinking this was a mistake. But then the tests began. The first scan measured bone density. The numbers flashed across the screen, and one alien's jaw tightened. "Impossible," he whispered. The bones were far denser than expected, stronger than many species built for war. Yet somehow, humans moved with speed and agility, carrying this weight without slowing down. The scientists stared, confused. Next, they exposed human cells to radiation. Any normal species would have died within moments. The scientists waited for the readings of failure. But the human cells resisted. They absorbed the damage, fought back, and adapted as if refusing to die. One alien looked at the others, his voice trembling. "It should be dead. Why is it not dead?" The room grew colder. They tested muscle fibers. Despite looking small and unprotected, the human muscles showed strange results. After stress and damage, the fibers did not simply heal, they became stronger. Pain and injury made them more powerful. The lead scientist tapped the screen again, thinking the machine was broken. But the numbers remained the same. This is not weakness," one alien muttered. "This is something else." Then came the nervous system tests. They expected slow reflexes. Instead, they found speed and adaptability. Human nerves responded in ways no one could explain. Pain signals did not stop the body. Pain became information, allowing movement even when damage was severe. The council members exchanged looks of unease. One elder doctor finally spoke, his voice heavy. "Their biology is broken. It should not work like this. But somehow, it does." The silence after his words was long and heavy. Still, the experiments continued. The human body was pushed into freezing cold. The heart slowed, the skin hardened with frost, but the body did not surrender. Systems inside struggled, fought, and delayed death longer than any known species. Then they raised the temperature to burning heat. The body sweated, adapted, and kept balance far faster than their data predicted. Other species would collapse quickly, but the human endured. The scientists looked at the results, their minds filled with questions. How could such a soft, fragile-looking species survive so much? Why would nature create a body like this? One insectoid scientist with sharp mandibles leaned forward. "This is not evolution for comfort," he said. "This is evolution for endurance. They are not built to rest. They are built to outlast." The words unsettled everyone. Survival was respected in the galaxy, but this was survival beyond logic. It was survival mixed with madness. When the day's tests ended, no one spoke freely. They recorded their findings, but their hands shook as they entered the numbers. The data did not look like facts, it looked like a threat. Finally, one young researcher whispered what all of them were thinking. "What the hell is wrong with human biology?" No one answered, because deep inside, they already knew the truth. Nothing was wrong with human biology. Everything about it was terrifyingly right. The shock of this first study spread across the council chambers. Whispers turned to fear. What they had seen was not a weak species. What they had seen was a living paradox. Fragile in appearance, but unbreakable in reality. The humans were not victims of biology. They were the weapon of biology. And this was only the beginning. The council thought they had already seen enough. Human bones, muscles, and nerves were strange, but still they believed the next test would reveal weakness. They were wrong. The next focus was the human immune system. The alien doctors were confident. Every species had limits. Bacteria, viruses, and infections always won in the end. Surely humans would be no different. Inside the chamber, machines released controlled samples of alien microbes, organisms designed to infect most life in the galaxy. These microbes were deadly, crafted by nature to spread fast. The scientists prepared their notes. They expected the human body to collapse quickly. But something strange happened. The microbes attacked. The human body reacted. White blood cells rushed forward like soldiers in a war. Instead of being destroyed, they learned. They studied the invaders, copied their moves, and adapted. Within minutes, the immune system was fighting back harder than the aliens had ever seen. One scientist adjusted his scanner. "It is improving," he whispered. "The defense is learning from the enemy." The aliens exchanged nervous looks. Their own species relied on medicines, healers, or machines to fight disease. Humans, however, carried an army inside their blood. The doctors tried again. They released stronger microbes, ones that had killed entire colonies in the past. The humans should have collapsed within hours. But the opposite happened. The immune system struggled, yes, but it did not give up. It studied the new attackers, created fresh strategies, and launched counterattacks. "This is not possible," said an insectoid doctor, his antennae twitching nervously. "It is like their blood is waiting for war." Another alien, older and wiser, replied softly, "It is not waiting. It is used to war." The truth was hard to ignore. Humans had grown on a world full of dangers, diseases, plagues, infections. Their bodies had learned not just to fight but to evolve. Each battle against sickness left them stronger. The researchers decided to push further. They introduced a virus so deadly that even the Council's strongest species had no cure. They expected human cells to fail. But instead, the immune system reacted with fire. Fever rose, sweat poured, and the human body fought like a beast cornered but not broken. Days passed. The fever did not kill. The body adapted, resisted, and finally survived. The virus, which had destroyed entire alien civilizations, was defeated inside one human. The scientists could not believe it. One alien's voice shook as he said, "They do not just survive disease. They grow from it." It was a terrifying thought. The Council began to see the larger truth. Other species avoided sickness, hid from infection, or relied on technology. Humans, however, had lived with danger for thousands of years. Their immune systems were trained like warriors, fighting every battle, learning every time, never forgetting. The doctors noticed something else. Scars of old battles inside the blood. Antibodies, tiny memories of past wars, stood ready for enemies that might never return. Each human carried not just one army but the history of many victories inside them. "Imagine," one alien said, his voice filled with dread. "They do not need medicine the way we do. Their bodies are their medicine. Their history is their shield." The chamber grew silent. The idea was frightening. A species whose biology prepared them for endless war. Not just with weapons, but inside their very blood. And yet, the strangest part came last. The scientists exposed humans to different alien environments. Air filled with new particles. Water with strange bacteria. Other species would become sick immediately. The humans coughed, sneezed, shivered, but then they adapted. Their immune systems shifted quickly, rewriting the rules, creating defenses for problems they had never faced before. It was as if their biology whispered, "Throw anything at us. We will find a way." The youngest scientist stared at the results, her voice almost a whisper. "This is not immunity. This is evolution happening in real time." The council members felt the weight of her words. If humans could adapt so fast, if they could fight diseases unknown to them, then how far could they go? What would stop them? The elder insectoid finally closed the report. His mandibles clicked in fear. "We thought their weakness was sickness," he said slowly. "But sickness is their teacher. Pain is their classroom. Every illness makes them stronger." The others looked down at the human body, silent and still, but filled with an army waiting for the next war. And in that silence, fear grew. Because the truth was clear, the impossible immune system was not just a defense. It was a weapon. The council believed they had seen enough. Human bones were strange. Their immune system was terrifying. But the next discovery shook them even more. Now they wanted to understand how humans handled pain. Most species in the galaxy avoided pain. For them, pain was a signal to stop, to retreat, to save their lives. Pain meant weakness. Pain meant the end. But when the scientists observed humans, they discovered something that made their blood run cold. Humans did not fear pain the way others did. The first test was simple. A human was given a controlled injury, nothing fatal, but enough to measure reaction. The council expected immediate collapse, screams, or surrender. Instead, the human gritted his teeth, blood dripping down his arm, and whispered, "Is that all?" The aliens looked at each other in disbelief. Pain did not stop the human, fueled him. The machines showed higher levels of adrenaline, muscles tightening, reflexes sharper than before. His heart beat faster, not weaker. The injury, instead of slowing him down, made him stronger, like a fire burning brighter after being struck by wind. "This is not logical," one scientist muttered. "Pain should cripple. Why does it make them fight harder?" The answer was buried deep in human biology. Pain released chemicals, signals that other species could not endure. But in humans, those chemicals turned into fuel for anger, fuel for strength, fuel for survival. The second test was harsher. They broke one of the subject's ribs. The council watched carefully, expecting collapse. The human fell for a moment, gasping, but then he stood up again. His body shook, but his fists clenched. He refused to fall. His eyes burned with a wild fire that no machine could measure. One alien whispered in fear, "He is laughing." And it was true. Through the agony, the human smiled. The doctors could not believe it. Pain, which should bring despair, instead brought determination. Where other species begged for mercy, humans shouted for more. Reports from old wars confirmed this. Soldiers with broken legs kept crawling toward the enemy. Fighters with shattered bones still swung their weapons. Some humans even claimed to feel alive in the middle of pain, as if suffering reminded them of who they were. The scientists dug deeper into human history. They found stories of people walking miles with wounds that should have killed them. Tales of explorers who froze in the snow but kept moving until rescue arrived. Warriors who fought entire battles with injuries that no alien could survive. It was madness. One alien doctor closed his eyes and said, "Pain is not their weakness. It is their companion. It does not stop them. It drives them." The room fell into silence. The council tested further. They studied the human brain's reaction to extreme injury. Instead of shutting down, the brain released endorphins, strange chemicals that masked pain, numbed suffering, and allowed the body to continue. Humans were built with a hidden switch. When the suffering became too great, their own biology gave them relief, letting them fight even longer. This discovery terrified the council. It meant humans could push far beyond their natural limits, and their own bodies would help them cheat death for as long as possible. An insectoid general present at the test spoke in a low voice. "A soldier who does not stop when wounded is not a soldier. It is a nightmare." The council could not disagree, but there was something even more disturbing. Pain did not only affect the body, it affected the mind. Instead of breaking, humans often grew stronger in spirit. Pain created resilience, discipline, and even creativity. Where other species avoided suffering, humans turned it into stories, songs, and lessons. One alien scientist, trembling, admitted, "They do not just survive pain, they make meaning from it." That was perhaps the most dangerous truth of all. The final test shocked the entire chamber. The human subject was pushed close to death, his body covered in injuries. His breathing was shallow, his skin pale. Everyone thought he would surrender at last. But with the last of his strength, he whispered words that no alien could forget. "I will not die lying down." Then he stood up once again, broken, bleeding but standing. The council members froze in silence. The data on their screens was clear, but their minds refused to accept it. Pain was supposed to be the end. For humans, pain was only the beginning. One elder scientist finally spoke the thought in everyone's hearts. "We thought pain made them weak, but pain makes them monsters." And with that truth, a heavy fear settled over the chamber. Because if pain itself became human fuel, then what force in the galaxy could ever truly stop them? The council thought they had seen the worst of human biology. Strong bones, impossible immune systems, and their strange use of pain, it was already too much. But then came the greatest puzzle of all, the human brain. At first, the scientists believed the brain would be simple. Most species had clear patterns. Some were logical, built for strategy. Some were emotional, built for family bonds. Others were balanced between instinct and reason. But when the council scanned the human brain, they found something no one expected. The readings were chaotic. The brain fired signals in too many directions at once. Logic and emotion overlapped. Fear and courage appeared together. Madness and intelligence mixed in a way that confused every machine. One insectoid doctor leaned closer to the screen. This should not be possible. A brain cannot work with such disorder. But the human brain did more than work. It thrived in chaos. When faced with danger, the brain released fear, but that fear turned into courage, giving the human strength to fight harder. When exhausted, the brain created hope, pushing the body forward when it should have fallen. When surrounded by enemies, the brain sparked creativity, finding solutions that no other species would even imagine. It was as if the human brain was two things at once, a weapon and a mystery. The scientists decided to test further. They showed the human images of destruction, war, and suffering. Any normal being would shut down, overwhelmed. But the human's brain responded differently. Painful memories triggered resilience. Tragedy built determination. Where others broke, humans rebuilt inside their minds. One alien whispered, "Their brain does not just endure trauma, it transforms it." That thought disturbed the entire chamber. The next test was stranger still. They gave the human impossible problems. Puzzles that had no answer, tasks designed to frustrate. Instead of giving up, the human brain refused defeat. It searched, twisted ideas, and invented strange solutions. Sometimes the solutions failed. Sometimes they worked in ways no one predicted. "This is creativity," a scientist muttered, his voice uneasy. "They can create answers out of nothing." The council members shifted nervously. Logic was safe. Logic could be predicted. But creativity? That was dangerous. An enemy who thought differently could not be controlled. The scientists also tested human dreams. While sleeping, their brains became even stranger. Instead of shutting down, the human brain created entire worlds, stories, and ideas. Dreams mixed reality with imagination, giving humans inspiration even in their rest. No other species wasted energy this way. Yet somehow, this madness gave humans power. "They are planning wars even while they sleep," an alien soldier whispered, horrified. The researchers then studied emotion. Most species separated emotion from reason. Humans did not. Their feelings became fuel. Love inspired sacrifice. Anger fueled wars. Grief created unity. Joy created art. Instead of weakening them, emotions made them stronger. One scientist shook his head. "They are ruled by feelings. That should make them weak." Another replied quietly, "And yet, it makes them unstoppable." The council discovered that humans could believe in things that did not exist yet. Ideas, dreams, futures. This belief gave them strength far beyond their limits. When their bodies were weak, their minds shouted, "Keep going." It was not just survival. It was ambition. And ambition, the council realized, was the most dangerous weapon of all. The strangest test of all came when they measured how humans reacted under extreme stress. Instead of shutting down, the human brain released chemicals. Adrenaline, dopamine, endorphins, that sharpened senses, dulled pain, and gave bursts of energy. Other species fell apart under pressure. Humans came alive. The lead scientist's voice shook as he explained, "Their minds are not just built to think. They are built to fight chaos itself." The council chamber grew heavy with silence. Every test revealed the same terrifying truth. The human brain was not like others. It did not follow rules. Created them. It was both unpredictable and unstoppable. Could imagine peace while preparing for war. could create beauty while standing in destruction. It could survive madness and turn it into strength. One elder alien finally spoke, his words slow and grim. Their bodies make them dangerous, but their minds make them unstoppable. The others nodded in silence, fear clear in their eyes, because they finally understood. A species with such a brain was not just built to survive. They were built to change everything around them, and the galaxy was not ready. The Council believed they had uncovered every secret. Bones, blood, pain, and brain, all shocking beyond measure. But the next discovery was perhaps the most terrifying of all: the human ability to endure. Most species of the galaxy had natural limits. Some could run fast but only for a short time. Some could fight with strength but collapsed quickly. Some could survive cold but not heat, or heat but not hunger. Every being had a line they could not cross. But humans? Humans seemed to have no line at all. The first test was simple. The researchers made the human run on a rotating track. They increased speed, raised the temperature, and reduced oxygen. The scientists expected collapse within hours. But the human kept running. Sweat poured from his body, lungs gasping for air, but he refused to fall. His body adapted, cooling itself, adjusting his rhythm. One insectoid doctor checked the clock, shocked. How is he still moving? Hours passed, then a day. Still the human ran. His body screamed for rest, but his will was stronger. Where any alien would have collapsed long ago, the human endured. The second test was crueler. They placed the human in freezing cold. His skin turned pale, his body shook, and ice formed on his hair. Any other species would have been lifeless within minutes. But the human fought to stay awake. His muscles tightened, his body burned calories like fire, and he clung to life. The scientists increased the time. The humans survived longer than their machines predicted. Even when close to death, he whispered, "Not yet." The chamber fell silent. Next came the desert trial. Heat rose to unbearable levels. The human's skin burned, his lips cracked, and water was scarce. Yet he endured. His body adjusted with sweat, his mind focused, his steps continued. He did not surrender. "This is not survival," one alien said softly. "This is obsession." But it was more than obsession. It was endurance beyond limits. The Council began to study history, searching for answers. What they found shook them even more. Humans had crossed oceans with little food. They had marched through deserts for weeks. They had climbed frozen mountains with no air to breathe. Again and again, they had gone beyond what nature allowed. One alien general read the records in silence before saying, "They should have died many times, but they did not." Why? Because the human body and mind had learned to adapt together. When food was scarce, their bodies slowed, conserving energy. When water was gone, they survived longer than most desert creatures. When air thinned, their lungs worked harder, their blood carried more oxygen. And when their bodies failed, their minds forced them forward. The scientists realized something chilling. Humans were not built for comfort. They were built for struggle. Their world had trained them with storms, hunger, sickness, and danger. Endurance was not just a skill. It was their identity. The final test was the most disturbing of all. The Council placed the human in isolation. No food, little water, no comfort. Days turned into weeks. Machines showed the body weakening, but the spirit refused to break. He spoke to himself, sang songs, whispered stories, and refused to surrender. Other species would fall to madness in such darkness. The human created light inside his own mind. One alien scientist whispered in fear, "They do not just endure the body's limits. They endure the soul's limits too." By the end, the Council understood the terrifying truth. A species that could run for days, survive heat and cold, starve and still fight, resist despair and isolation. Such a species could not be defeated easily. One elder doctor closed his report with shaking hands. "They do not stop. That is their secret. When the galaxy ends, when all others fall, the humans will still be standing." The words echoed in the chamber. And for the first time, the council felt the weight of fear not just for human strength, not just for their pain or immune system, but for this endless endurance. Because how do you fight an enemy that simply refuses to stop? The council chambers were heavy with silence. Reports from the experiments sat on the table, glowing in cold light. Bones that were too strong, blood that fought back, pain that gave power, minds that thrived in chaos, and endurance that defied death itself. The scientists had uncovered everything they needed. But now, those discoveries could not be hidden. News began to spread, quietly at first, whispered in research halls and military bases. But soon the whispers became storms. Fear was moving through the galaxy. Generals were the first to react. They had fought many enemies before, giant reptilians, insectoid swarms, machines without mercy. But all of them had limits. Humans, however, seemed limitless. Soldiers who did not stop when wounded, who healed faster, who adapted to poison, who fought even while broken. Such an enemy could not be calculated in war. One commander read the report with cold dread. If even one human soldier survives the battlefield, he said, he can turn the tide of an entire war. Merchants and traders heard the rumors next. To them, humans were no longer just another species. They were dangerous investments, unpredictable partners. Stories of humans enduring storms at sea, surviving void exposure in broken ships, and walking out of toxic mines alive spread like fire. Merchants muttered to each other, if they can survive anything, they can outlast us in business too. But it was not just soldiers and traders. The fear reached civilians across the stars. Parents whispered to their children not to get close to humans. Teachers warned their students about Earth. Some believed humans were cursed. Others believed they were chosen. But all agreed they were dangerous. The council tried to control the fear, but it was too late. Rumors grew larger than truth. Entire colonies spoke of humans fighting even after death, spirits rising from fallen bodies. Myths began to form, humans as monsters, humans as demons, humans as creatures that pain and death could not stop. In one star system, a frightened official said, they do not die like us. They refuse to die at all. Military councils met in secret. Strategies were drawn, alliances considered. The question was asked again and again, how do we fight something that never stops? But no answer came. Every theory ended in failure. Every scenario showed humans rising again, adapting, refusing to surrender. Even scientists, who once mocked humans as fragile, now locked their research behind guarded doors. None wanted to admit they had touched something terrifying. One doctor confessed quietly, we looked into their biology, but what we found was not science. It was survival beyond reason. And slowly, a new fear began to grow. Not only could humans survive, not only could they endure, but what if they decided to fight? What if they turned their biology, their madness, their strange strength against the galaxy itself? An insectoid elder raised the warning in a private council. We thought humans were weak. We were wrong. We thought they were allies. We may be wrong again. They are survivors, yes, but survivors who turn every wound into strength. What happens when such a species chooses war? The chamber fell into silence. No one dared to answer. Across the stars, fear continued to spread. Colonies reinforced their defenses. Fleets moved closer to human borders. Diplomats spoke carefully, afraid of offense. And in the shadows, whispers became louder. Do not provoke them. Do not fight them. If you value your life, do not test the humans. But fear is a strange thing. It does not stay small. It grows. And now it grew into paranoia. Every human act, no matter how peaceful, was seen as a threat. A smile was a warning. A handshake was a trap. A trade agreement was the first step to war. The humans themselves knew little of this storm. On Earth, they lived their lives, unaware that entire worlds feared them. But in council halls, in alien minds, a single truth had taken root. Human biology was not weakness, it was destiny. And destiny, they feared, was preparing to spread far beyond Earth. One scientist's final words echoed in every report. passed quietly from system to system, whispered like a secret curse. Humans are not to be studied. Humans are not to be trusted. Humans are to be feared. The fear had begun, and it would not stop. The council chamber was darker than usual. The lights were dim, and the air felt heavy. Reports from every world had arrived. Stories of human strength, pain, endurance, and fear. Generals, merchants, civilians, and even scientists all spoke the same words. Humans cannot be trusted. Humans are too dangerous. Now, the council had gathered for one final decision. The question was simple but terrifying. What must be done about humanity? One insectoid elder spoke first. His voice clicked sharply through the chamber. We thought humans were fragile. We were wrong. We thought they would break. Instead, they rise. Every test proves it. Bones too strong. Blood too fierce. Pain too useful. Minds too chaotic. Bodies too endless. They are not like us. They are something else. A reptilian general leaned forward. His scaled hands tapped the table nervously. If we leave them alone, they will grow stronger. If we fight them, they will only adapt. If we kill them, they will die screaming, and their screams will become fuel for the next battle. Tell me, how do we win against that? No one answered. The scientists showed the final report. Numbers glowed on the screens, proof of everything the galaxy feared. Radiation tolerance, immune system strength, recovery speed, endurance records, brain activity in chaos. Each number told the same story. Humans should not exist, and yet they do. One young alien researcher whispered, perhaps they were never meant to exist. Perhaps their world created monsters, and those monsters are now walking among us. But another voice disagreed. An elder older than most with quiet wisdom. No, they are not monsters. They are survivors. And survival, in its purest form, looks like madness. The council argued for hours. Some said humans should be destroyed before it was too late. Some said humans should be controlled, limited, or watched. And a few, trembling, suggested the unthinkable, that perhaps humans should be respected, even feared as equals. But then came the revelation that silenced all voices. The lead scientist showed a final set of records, not from the lab but from history. Reports of wars where humans fought until their last breath. Records of disasters where humans rescued each other, refusing to give up. Stories of explorers who walked into the unknown, laughing at danger, and came back stronger. The scientist's voice was heavy as he spoke. Every time nature tried to end them, they found a way to continue. Fire, storm, hunger, disease, war, nothing erased them. Instead, each test made them harder. Each trial shaped them. They are not accidents. They are not broken. They are the result of endless struggle. They are evolution's final weapon. The chamber froze in silence. The truth was undeniable now. Humanity was not weak. Humanity was not fragile. Humanity was not wrong. Humanity was designed by its own world to face the impossible and win. One elder, who had been quiet until now, finally spoke. His voice trembled, but his words were clear. We looked into human biology searching for weakness. We found none. We found only strength. But worse than that, we found potential. If they are this powerful now, what will they become in 1,000 years? What will they become when they spread to every star? The words sent chills through the chamber. Some imagined armies of humans, unending, unbroken, fueled by pain and endurance. Others imagined explorers, spreading across the galaxy, taking worlds one by one. And some, in their darkest fear, imagined humans evolving further, becoming something even the council could not comprehend. The final vote was taken in silence. The official record stated only this: humans are not a species to be studied. Humans are not a species to be controlled. Humans are not a species to be destroyed. Humans are a force, and forces cannot be stopped. The meeting ended, but fear did not. Word spread faster than ever. Across the galaxy, from the smallest colony to the greatest empire, One truth was whispered again and again. Humans are not weak. Humans are not fragile. Humans are the storm that never ends. On Earth, humans continued their lives, unaware of the terror their existence had caused. They laughed, worked, dreamed, and struggled, just as they always had. They did not know that entire worlds now feared them. But the galaxy knew. The galaxy understood. And the galaxy trembled.